I didn't suspect a thing until his best friend slipped up and said, "At least it was only one night." My stomach dropped. I laughed lightly. "Wait, what do you mean?" His friend went pale, stammering, nothing." I knew it wasn't nothing. That night, I waited until my husband was asleep and checked his old messages. My blood ran cold as I found one. Last night was a mistake. But I don't regret it. The next morning, I handed him coffee and whispered, "Tell me about the one night you regret." His face turned white, and that's when he knew the truth was out. I never imagined I'd be sharing my story here, but I need to get this off my chest. I've been married to Daniel for 10 years. We live in a cozy apartment in Chicago, just a few blocks from Lake Michigan. Our life together seemed stable: dinners at our favorite spots in Lincoln Park, weekend strolls along the lake, and gatherings with friends. Daniel's best friend, Jake, has been a constant presence in our lives. They've been inseparable since college, and over the years, Jake became like family to me. One evening, we attended a small get-together at our friend Sarah's condo in Lincoln Park. The atmosphere was warm, filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the aroma of homemade dishes. As the night wound down, I found myself in the kitchen with Jake, helping to tidy up. We chatted about the evening, the delicious food, and shared anecdotes. Then, out of nowhere, Jake sighed and said, "At least it was only one night." I paused, a dish in my hand, and looked at him, puzzled. "Wait, what do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. Jake's face went pale. He stammered, nothing." I didn't mean anything by it, but his reaction betrayed him. A seed of doubt was planted in my mind. That night, as Daniel slept beside me, I couldn't shake the unease. My mind raced, replaying Jake's words and his startled expression. I felt a gnawing need to know the truth. With a deep breath, I reached for Daniel's phone on the nightstand. I knew his passcode. It was our anniversary date. I hesitated, battling with the morality of invading his privacy, but my suspicion overpowered my guilt. Scrolling through his messages, my heart pounded. Most conversations were mundane, work chats, family updates. But then I stumbled upon a thread with an unsaved number. The messages were brief but damning. "Last night was a mistake. But I don't regret it." The timestamp was from 2 months ago. My breath caught. I felt a cold wave wash over me, a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. I couldn't sleep. The weight of the discovery pressed heavily on my chest. Memories of our life together flashed before me, the vacations, the shared dreams, the intimate moments. All now tainted. The next morning, I went through the motions of our routine, masking my turmoil. I handed Daniel his coffee as he sat at the dining table, engrossed in his tablet. I sat across from him, studying his face, searching for any sign of remorse or guilt. Taking a deep breath, I said softly, "Tell me about the one night you regret." Daniel's face drained of color. He slowly set down his coffee, his eyes wide with shock. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I held up his phone, displaying the incriminating message. "This," I said, my voice trembling. "Who is she?" He swallowed hard, running a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I'd come to recognize over the years. "It's not what you think," he began, but I interrupted. "Don't lie to me, Daniel. Please." He exhaled deeply, his shoulders slumping. "Her name is Laura. We met at a conference in New York. It was a mistake." Tears welled up in my eyes. "How could you do this to us?" He reached across the table, trying to take my hand, but I pulled away. "I wasn't thinking. I was drunk, lonely. It meant nothing." "Nothing?" I echoed, my voice rising. "You risked our marriage for nothing?" He looked down, ashamed. "I know I messed up. I'm so sorry, Anna. I love you." I stood up, chair scraping against the floor. "Love? If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this." He stood too, desperation in his eyes. "Please, let's talk about this. We can work through it." I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. "I need time, Daniel. I can't do this right now." I grabbed my coat and left the apartment, needing air, space, clarity. I wandered the streets of Chicago, the city's usual vibrancy muted by my inner turmoil. I ended up at a park bench, staring blankly ahead, replaying our conversation, the betrayal. Over the next few days, Daniel tried to reach out, calls, texts, voicemails. I couldn't bring myself to respond. I stayed with my sister, confiding in her, seeking solace. She listened, offered support, but the decision of what to do next weighed solely on me. We met at that little cafe in Wicker Park we used to go to when we were dating. It was quiet, cold outside. I wore a heavy coat, but I still felt like I was freezing from the inside out. Daniel was already there, waiting at a corner table, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee he probably wasn't drinking. When he saw me, he stood up quickly like he was about to apologize again with his whole body. I didn't hug him. I just sat down across from him and waited. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. I stared at the chipped paint on the edge of the table. He finally said, "Thank you for coming." I nodded but didn't say anything. I need to explain it," he said. "I need to tell you everything." I looked at him, and I could see it, the fear in his eyes. Not just fear of losing me, but fear of what he was about to admit. "I didn't just meet Laura at the New York conference," he said. His voice was low, like he was afraid someone might overhear. "She used to work with me at the Chicago office. We'd been texting for a while before that trip." I felt like I'd been punched. I kept my face still, but inside, something cracked a little deeper. "So it wasn't just one night?" I asked. My voice sounded far away, even to me. He looked down, ashamed. "No. That night in New York, that was the only time it got physical. But before that, we flirted. A lot. And we talked. More than I should have let happen." I didn't shut it down. My throat burned. He'd lied when I first found out. That one-night mistake excuse? That was just the tip of it. I bit the inside of my cheek so I wouldn't cry in front of him. "And after?" I asked. "After New York?" He hesitated. "I told her it was a mistake. I told her I was going to fix things with you." "Did you block her?" Silence. "You didn't block her," I said flatly. I didn't want to make it worse," he said, fumbling. "I didn't want to be cruel. I thought if I just stopped replying, she'd fade out." "That's not how that works," I snapped. "You were keeping the door cracked open, hoping she wouldn't walk through it again, but making sure she still could." Daniel looked like he might cry, but I didn't care. Not in that moment. I stood up. "I'm done talking for today." As I walked out, I didn't even look back. A few days later, something even worse happened. Jake texted me. Out of the blue. "I need to talk to you. Please." Not about Daniel, about Laura. I didn't answer right away. I wasn't sure I wanted to know more. But curiosity and something heavier, fear, made me call him that evening. He answered on the first ring. "Anna, listen. I didn't mean to say anything that night. But now I think you should know something." "What?" He sighed, nervous. "It wasn't just Daniel." "What are you talking about?" He hesitated. "Laura, she's known for this. She's been with other guys at the company. She kind of plays this game. Gets close. Finds the cracks." I sat down slowly. "Are you saying she targets married men?" "She's done this before. And she's good at covering it up. HR can't do anything unless someone reports her. No one has. Because everyone's scared. Or guilty. And Daniel? He wasn't her first. And probably not her last. But there's something else." Jake's voice dropped. "Laura's pregnant." My stomach twisted. "What?" "She hasn't said who the father is. But the timing lines up. It could be Daniel." I couldn't breathe for a second. The room spun. I hung up on Jake. I don't even remember driving to our apartment. I walked in. Daniel was on the couch, watching a basketball game like life was normal. I stood in front of the TV. "Is Laura pregnant?" His face froze. Then he stood slowly. "Jake told you. Answer the question." He opened his mouth, closed it again. "She texted me last week. She said she might be. She didn't say it was mine. But it could be." He looked away. "Yeah, it could." I felt like the walls were closing in. I backed up, hit the hallway wall, and slid down to the floor. Daniel knelt in front of me. I swear to you, I don't want anything to do with her. I don't want this. But you did want it, Daniel. You wanted it enough to risk everything. We sat there in silence. The game played on behind him. I could hear the crowd cheering. It felt like the world didn't care that mine was falling apart. I don't know what I'm going to do next. All I know is, this isn't over. Not even close. You guys still with me? Because I don't even know how to breathe right now. A week passed. I didn't move back in. I couldn't. I was staying at my sister's place in Ravenswood, trying to figure out if the life I had with Daniel was even salvageable. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message. Last night was a mistake, but I don't regret it. And now there was the possibility of a child. A living, breathing reminder of what he did. I didn't reply to his texts. I didn't answer his calls. I just needed space. Then, on a quiet Thursday morning, I got a letter. Yes, a letter. Handwritten. No return address. The handwriting was unfamiliar, a little messy. I opened it slowly, heart pounding. Anna, you don't know me, but I think you deserve to know the truth. I've been in Laura's shoes before. Not with Daniel, but with another man she worked with, my husband. She lied, manipulated, told him she was pregnant when she wasn't. She wanted to force him to leave me. It worked for a while. Until we found out she was lying. There was never a baby. She does this. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I thought you should know. I read it 3 times. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. Then I called Jake. I got a letter, I said. He sounded confused. What kind of letter? It says Laura might not even be pregnant. Long pause. Jake sighed. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. She thrives on chaos. She gets off on the drama. I asked him for this other woman's name. He didn't know it. He'd only heard the story secondhand. Still, something about the letter felt real. But I couldn't just rely on some anonymous note. I needed proof. I needed answers. And I wasn't going to wait around for them anymore. I called Laura. I found her number in Daniel's phone logs. I stared at it for almost an hour before hitting call. She picked up on the 3rd ring. Hello? Hi, Laura. It's Anna. Daniel's wife. Silence. Then, wow. Bold move. What do you want? The truth. Another pause. Then a small, almost mocking laugh. You already know the truth, don't you? I know he slept with you. I know you said you're pregnant. I also know this might not be your first time doing this. Her tone changed. Sharper. Be careful with your accusations. I got a letter, I said. Someone else's wife. She said you lied about being pregnant before. I don't have to listen to this, she snapped. You don't. But if you're lying, I will find out. She hung up. Daniel called me 20 minutes later. Laura just called me. What the hell did you say to her? The truth, I said. Or at least what I think the truth is. She's furious. Good. He didn't respond. The next twist came faster than I expected. 3 days later, Jake called me again. You're not going to believe this, he said. What now? She's gone. Laura. Quit the company. No notice. Packed up. Left town. No one knows where she went. I felt weirdly empty. Like I'd been gearing up for some kind of battle, and then the enemy just vanished. No answers. No closure. Just disappeared. Daniel came by that night. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He handed me a manila envelope. What's this? I asked. Proof, he said. From HR. She forged some stuff. Lied on reports. There's an internal investigation going on now. She's in deep. I opened the envelope. There were email printouts. Notes from meetings. Even a statement from another employee who said Laura tried to seduce him too. This doesn't change what you did, I told him. I know, he said quietly. But maybe it changes what you thought was coming next. I didn't answer. Because honestly, I still didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew one thing now, for sure. This wasn't just about one bad choice. This was about lies stacked on top of lies. From both of them. And maybe, just maybe, the worst betrayal wasn't that Daniel slept with her. Maybe it was that he let someone like her so far into our lives without seeing who she really was. And now? Now I had to decide if I could ever forgive either of them. 2 weeks later, our 10-year anniversary rolled around. Ironic, right? I hadn't planned on doing anything. I figured I'd let the day pass like a funeral, quiet, uncomfortable, and heavy with what had died. But Daniel texted me that morning. Please come to the house tonight. I have something I need to say. You deserve that much. I didn't respond. But I thought about it all day. Thought about all we'd been through. Thought about Laura, the letter, her sudden disappearance. The forged documents. The lies. I went. Part of me needed to see how far we'd fallen. When I walked in, the dining table was set. Candles. Our favorite wine. He stood there in the kitchen, wearing the same shirt he wore on our honeymoon flight. His eyes looked tired. Haunted. You came, he said. I don't know why. Sit. Please. I didn't sit. Just say whatever it is. He nodded, took a shaky breath. I lied to you. Not just about her. About more. My heart dropped. He continued, it wasn't just one time. With Laura. It was 3. Once in New York. Twice back here. She came to our apartment once. When you were visiting your mom last spring. I stumbled back a step. He rushed forward. Wait, let me finish. I held up a hand. No. You let her into our home. I didn't plan it. She showed up, and I was weak. I hated myself for it, even as it happened. Get away from me, I whispered. I needed you to know. All of it. I didn't want to keep lying. Then why wait until now? Why after the one-night story? After the letter? After she left town? Why now? His voice cracked. Because I wanted to save us. And I knew if I told you everything at once, I'd lose you. I shook my head, the anger rising now. You already lost me. You just didn't want to admit it. Then came the doorbell. We both froze. I opened the door. It was Jake. His eyes darted between us. I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't know if I should come. But you both need to hear this. Daniel looked wary. What now? Jake stepped in. I got a call this afternoon. Laura's not gone. She's in town. She's staying with a friend near Evanston. She contacted HR. She wants to press charges. She's saying you coerced her, Daniel. Silence. You're lying, Daniel muttered. I wish I was. She's turning everything around. Saying you harassed her. That she never pursued you. She's building a case. I stared at Daniel. His face was blank. Jake added, and there's more. HR pulled security footage. One of the nights you were with her? She wasn't alone. She came with another guy. She wasn't there just for you. What are you saying? I asked. Jake looked at me. He wasn't her only affair. She was playing multiple guys. And she's pinning it all on the ones with something to lose. Daniel sat down hard, hands shaking. She said she loved me. Jake laughed bitterly. She's a parasite, man. And now she's turning this into a war. I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. He wasn't the man I married. He was wrecked. Small. Soaked in regret, and now dragged into a nightmare of his own making. I stood there for a long time. Then I said it. I'm done. Daniel looked up, eyes wide. Anna, please. No. You don't get to beg anymore. You don't get forgiveness just because you're finally scared. He stood, desperate. You said we'd work through anything. That was before you let her into our bed. Our home. That was before you decided lies were easier than truth. You made me look like a fool. Jake stepped forward. Anna, if you want me to help, if you need a lawyer or someone to back your version, I'll handle it, I said. But thank you. Daniel crumbled into the chair again. I ruined everything. Yes, I said. You did. I walked out. The next few weeks were a blur. Daniel's work launched an investigation. Laura's case didn't stick, others came forward, and HR had enough evidence to prove she'd manipulated more than just Daniel. But by then, it didn't matter. My marriage was over. Daniel sent letters. Left voicemails. He even showed up at my sister's, begging for just 5 minutes to talk. I didn't let him in. People judged. Some pitted. Some told me to forgive, to think about the time we had. But they didn't see the rot under the surface. They didn't feel what it was like to question every touch, every memory, every "I love you." Jake stayed in touch. He apologized for his part. For keeping quiet, for not telling me sooner. I didn't blame him. Not anymore. He was as caught off guard as I was. Sometimes we'd grab coffee, talk about work, the weather, quiet things. We never talked about Daniel. Now, I live alone. I sleep well again. I eat when I want. I decorate the way I like. I don't walk on eggshells. I don't wake up wondering if there's more I haven't seen. Some nights, I feel lonely. Other nights, I feel strong. I learned something brutal, but necessary. Love isn't enough. Not if it's not honest. Not if it hurts more than it heals. Daniel loved me, I believe that. But he didn't respect me enough to protect what we had. And that made all the difference. So where am I now? Healing. Still angry sometimes. Still grieving. But free. I'm not sure what's next. But I know what I won't accept ever again. And maybe that's a beginning.